It's patch review time yet again. This time, we're going to be talking about the winter update for Melty Blood Type Lumina, in which Ushi Wakamaru and the Count of Monte Cristo were added to Melty Blood Type Lumina. First things first, I have to say, once again, French Bread has hit it out of the park. Both characters are extremely fun to play, but I'm not really surprised at that. Ushi Wakamaru is more of a rushdown type character with mix-up options. She can go high, she can go low, she has great whiff punishes, she's got really interesting stuff with her sword cancels, and she even has fast fall like Nania does, which is pretty cool. The Count of Monte Cristo, on the other hand, is a weird mix. He's a little bit of, I would say, Vlav and a little bit of Coma, with some of his own stuff sprinkled in there. He's a really interesting rushdown character, although between the two characters, I have to say that Ushi Wakamaru definitely seems stronger off the bat. I think it's going to take a little bit more time for the Count of Monte Cristo for people to get used to him and develop his gameplay further. I don't know why this is, but he is so intense with his battle lines. He is constantly yelling like bloody murder, and I just don't know what the dude's problem is. The dude needs to chill. He's in Melty Blood. I don't know why he's so upset. I mean, I get it if he's fighting Roa. Obviously, he's got beef with Roa. So yeah, be angry. But dude's fighting 10-year-old Miyako over here, and he's sending her to the fucking Shadow Realm. It's ridiculous. If I had to pick a favorite of the two, I would definitely pick Ushi Wakamaru, just because she just has a lot of interesting stuff that other characters don't, while the Count has a lot of stuff that we've seen before, but has his own spin on it. Characters aside, they added a lot of content in this update. We got 2 new stages, which are respectively for the new characters. I really like Ushi Wakamaru's stage. It's a nice change of pace, considering most stages in Melty Blood are either at nighttime or in desolate areas, and it's nice to just have like this scenic water on rocks kind of thing. And the prison tower is pretty cool too. Speaking of stages, each stage comes with their respective themes, and I have to give it to Ratio yet again, hitting it out of the park with these DLC character themes. The Count's DLC theme and Ushi Wakamaru's DLC theme just bang so hard, and it really just confuses me as to why the base soundtrack for Type Lumina was so safe in comparison. They also added 10 new tracks, or I should say old tracks, from Melty Blood Actress Again, current code, and they are perfect, and it's really strange how well they fit in Type Lumina, and I hope eventually we can get tracks on the same level as Actress Again, current code, because I really don't feel like anything in Type Lumina has reached that level. Other than that, they added some new language options, so if you're so inclined, you would play the game in a language other than Japanese and English. And they added new titles, although I have the perfect title, so there's no reason for me to edit mine. And the last thing to talk about, which is the most substantial part of this winter update, is the story modes that came with the characters. Each character obviously had their standard story mode with their 3 scenes, a beginning, middle, and end, and they also came with 2 new boss rushes. The first new boss rush, Boss Rush 3, is about the Tsukihime characters fighting the Fate characters because Neko Arc wills it so, and it has its own unique stage, which is the Neko Arc Arena, and I just love this stage. I really hope they make it selectable in a new update. Boss Rush 3 is really more the same, although I did find a lot of the interactions between the Fate Go characters and the Tsukihime characters really nice, and they definitely knew what they were doing. They knew people would be upset. I mean, hell, if you go look at the last video, we have people still fighting in the comments over whether it was a waste or not to add these characters, but they knew what they were doing. They're cheeky about it, which, you know, I can respect. Then we have Boss Rush 4, which is a classic Melty Blood scenario where some goofy shenanigans happen and someone has to deal with it. And of course, since this is Type Lumina, goofy stuff happens to Miyako and she has to deal with it. The premise of it is that Shiki gets split into 17 little crystal statues, and Miyako has to collect all of them to bring her brother back to his 17 out of 17 form. And I think the little nice touch there was that he was split into 17 pieces. If you know, you know. Like Boss Rush 3, Boss Rush 4 also has its fair share of unique stages, including Miyako's Dojo, the daytime version of the rooftop stage, and while you don't get to play this, you can see it in the cutscene, the morning version of the fountain stage. I think it's really weird that they would include so many new stages just to only have them be in the story mode parts of the game. So, like Neko Arc Arena, I hope that these are added in a future update. And there definitely will be future updates, because in the post-credit scene of Boss Rush 4, Neko Arc is attacked by this silhouette here, and if you can't tell who it is Len from Kagetsu Toya, a fan-favorite character. I think that's a really strong message to put at the end of this boss rush, because obviously they know that people, well, Melty Blood players aren't going to be happy that it's taking such a long time for fan favorites to be added to the Melty Blood game, and to tease Len like that, I think, is a good sign of things to come. The next update for this game, I imagine, is going to be a big one. Whether that be in a couple months from now, or when Red Garden releases, only time will tell. But I can definitely say the future looks bright for Melty Blood Type Lumina. If you take these boss rushes and you think about it, they're laying the groundwork for having a real story mode in Type Lumina like the original Melty Blood did. If you're not aware, the original Melty Blood had its own mini visual novel in it. So can you just imagine when we do get Scion, Wallachia, and all those other characters, and they do the story mode like it is in the boss rush? It's going to be amazing. And it wouldn't be a Melty Blood patch review if I didn't try to guess the next two DLC characters. Obviously, half the work is done for me since they teased Len, so I'm going to go with Len, and you know what? I'm locking it in. Ryogi. Next two DLC characters, Len and Ryogi. That's my prediction. Another prediction I have is a pretty obvious one. Once the second half of the Tsukihime remake comes out, we'll probably see the biggest update for Type Lumina, period, ever come out. And I would not be surprised if they're working on some of that stuff right now, like Scion, Wallachia, and all the things you remember Melty Blood for that aren't in Type Lumina currently. But that's still far in the future. All things considered, I was disappointed by the reveal of Ushiwakamaru and the Count of Monte Cristo, but I was right. Both of them are fun to play. We got some great story mode content, and we get a tease for a classic character that I'm very excited to see come back. While I don't think this update was as good as the last one, because the balance patch really wasn't that crazy this time, I do think this is the second best update the game has ever gotten, right behind the Neko Arc update that we got a couple months ago. Who do you prefer playing? Are you happy about how these two characters turned out, and are you excited for Len in Type Lumina? I can tell you I am. But until that time comes, have a great day, and goodbye.